Okay, so this is it was all a dream. So I've been in guitar competitions and everything. I lost a guitar competition at Guitar Center. All of that stuff, man. I can't wait to talk about that stuff. People don't know that story.
Welcome to It Was All a Dream. Thank you, Justin, for being my guest. And if you'd like to introduce yourself and let the people know what you do.
Well, I am Justin Lyons. Thanks, Nate, for having me on, man. Um, I am Justin Lyons, producer, musician, currently lead guitarist, one of the lead guitarists with Machine Gun Kelly. Um, Man, film producer, music producer, vision producer, whatever it is, I like to say that I do it all. So that's who I am. Currently just finished the mainstream sellout tour, which was amazing. And now I'm home working on new music, for a personal project as well. So
Okay,
yeah.
cool. That's cool, man. And so, was it always your dream? So when you was a young kid, I know that like one of the first things that I learned to love was a love for music. So was that always a dream for you as a young kid? Being a guitarist or music in some
Hmm.
way.
Well, I can't say it was a dream, but it was definitely a passion. My mom saw it early on, maybe 4 or 5 years old, that I just had a passion for music generally because my entire family are musicians and singers, in church. We
Yeah,
grew up
yeah,
in
cool.
church. That's where my background is from, in church. So just seeing it and consuming it, man, like every little kid, you'd be like, oh wow, I want to make some noise on the drums or whatever it may be. So my mom just saw that I had a passion, and my mom started investing in me. My mom started pouring into me, man, and um, it just started to become more nurtured, and then these opportunities started happening for me, man. I was like a kid protege back in the day. We didn't have YouTube and stuff back in the day when I was growing up, but I was like the 10-year-old kid that was telling all the adults what to play and how to play and when to play their parts and stuff like that. So a lot of those grooming things just kind of prepared me. Now, did I see this being like a dream, like the level that I'm at now? I won't say it was a dream, but it became a vision, and then I knew how to get there, if that makes sense. You know what I'm
Yeah, yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah,
And
of course.
brought itself, as life brought itself in situations and people, it really started become a reality for me.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's cool, man. So in that
Yeah.
case, then, so was there any like idols that you looked up to, or any big inspirations that obviously by
Hmm.
the sounds of it, your mum, she was a huge inspiration for you to then follow in the steps of music. Did you have
Yeah.
many like idols and many people like that inspired you to, or even supported you in that sense to push you to that like that step?
Hmm. Well, I don't call them idols. I say they're heroes. I have a
Okay.
few heroes that I've always looked up to. Well, my dad was a hero of mine because he also is a fellow guitarist. My mom definitely is a hero of mine because she's the one that taught me how to play guitar. Of course, you got musical heroes like my one of my musical heroes, BB King. It was my first cassette tape. So yeah, shout out to my mom for, blessing me with that tape. BB King, and then as I got older, I had the Norman Browns. These are all jazz guys too. Norman Brown, George Benson, Brian Culberson, those guys. And then as I got older and my musicality started to expand, man, one of my favorite heroes ended up being Prince, man. Just because of his boldness, man. He's so bold when it came to fashion, when it came to what he wanted to say, what he wanted to say to the labels, how he wanted to say it. Everything about Prince was like worthy of being like to me. Now that is a leader. You know what I'm saying? And so,
Yeah,
of
yeah,
course, he was like a hero of mine, from the musical world. Of course, I have, non-musical heroes that has shaped me up as a human being doing, the
yeah, of course,
entertainment world.
absolutely. So
Yeah. So
it's funny
yeah,
you mentioned that.
those are definitely
It's
okay.
funny you mentioned that, like obviously about Prince, because I remember one of the first conversations me and you exchanged after seeing you on stage was that you are very like Prince. You have a big Prince vibe about you on the way you carry yourself. Um, like I I'd refer to you as a modern day Prince. Just the way you present yourself, your style, and then just your skills. They're phenomenal. So it's cool that you've molded into that without even realizing, or do you know what I mean? In the sense of, I get obviously you want your own style, but that like you studied him so much that you're now being called him by someone that didn't even know that you like looked up to him.
For sure. That's a huge compliment. Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot to me, man, to be coined as the modern day Prince. That's really cool. Um, I think, man, just the thing that captivated me most about him is like when I would listen to his music or watch him from like the live DVD perspective, because I was a late bloomer getting to know Prince. It wasn't until after I was done with high school. It was probably like 2005, 2006 that I got turned on to Prince.
Okay.
And the thing that drove me crazy about him was the fact that he would never shred. I'm like, man, I want to hear you like rip the guitar, please. Like just, but he would not. And then he just started teaching me other aspects of entertainment and how to give and what not to give and when to give and how to. It was a lot of lessons in one that made Prince definitely become like one of my favorite like instrumental human beings,
Yeah, no, that's cool, man.
as a musician. Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's cool. So obviously you mentioned about it wasn't necessarily a dream, but a vision for you to step into music. What sort of age was you when that kind of clicked with you? Like was you working a job alongside that, or like you know?
Yeah. Well, honestly, man, I probably worked every job you may think of. I worked for the post office. I worked for UPS. I worked for FedEx. I've worked for Amazon. Um, I've even worked for the government doing green cards, sitting at a computer typing in, keying in people's information. I've done a lot. I used to be a barber. I cut hair for a little time, man. Growing up, I just never saw the world of music unless you're supported by a label or you're a signed artist. I didn't see it being substantial enough to support my lifestyle. Like
Yeah,
we all think about it, like we're not married yet, and without child. So one day we want to have a wife and kids. And the way the music system is just set up in communities, I don't know what it's like out there, but here in the US, like just doing bar gigs here and there, like trashing your body for 5 and 6 hours for just 75 to $100, it just wasn't doing it for me. So I never saw music as one of the top priorities
yeah.
of my thing, man. I wanted the ball. Like out of high school, man, I was working on getting a scholarship because I was all about hooping. And that was a dream of mine, just to go to college because my mom couldn't afford it.
Okay,
That was a true dream of mine. But after I started just working the system and working these jobs and everything, man, it wasn't until I got laid off my job. I had took a year break off from playing music, and just to kind of discipline myself, man. I feel like God was speaking to me in a different kind of way, man. And I took a year off from playing, and I got laid off my job, and then I felt like I was ready to get back out there. But at this time, I got a phone call like, "Hey, man, you want to do this gig?" And I came out of retirement, and I've been touring ever since. Ever since 2010, I've been touring.
So just on those
So,
two notes
uh,
there, how old was
uh-huh.
you roughly when all that happened?
Uh, 2010, I think I was like 23, 24
Okay, so
ish,
so not that long ago, right?
22. Yeah, it really wasn't that long ago, man. God has definitely blessed me with a lot of success in such,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
short
cool.
period of time. But yeah, it wasn't that long ago actually.
Wow, okay,
Yeah,
that's
it was
cool.
crazy, man. I've been in guitar competitions and everything. I lost a guitar competition at Guitar Center. All of that stuff, man. I can't wait to talk about that stuff. People don't know that story.
Yeah,
But
that's gonna be fun, man. That's gonna be fun. So, so yeah, go on to it, actually talk about it. Let me know some
well,
stories.
you know what, man? Okay, so this is it was all a dream. So I wanted to see if like whatever, talent and skill that I actually had, I wanted to see how I'm not big into competitions like that. Like not in when it comes to music, like in sports, that's different. Like let's compete. That's
Yeah, yeah,
different. But in music, it's supposed to be more of like a harmony thing. So entering into a guitar competition to see if I can outplay you, it was already trash to me anyway. But I did it while I was working at my government job at the time. And man, I was so I made it through to 3 rounds, right? Which
yeah.
was all scheduled like a week apart. And on the third round, man, this is what got me, and this is what really made me pump into this vision of what I'm doing now. One of the judges said to me, first of all, it was a guitar that somebody made for me, so I was trying to get him a shout out by playing that guitar during the competition.
Okay.
And one of the judges, soon as we started the competition, before I started playing, he started making fun of my guitar. I was just like, yo, is this a roast fest or is this a competition? Like, dude, like what? So got past that, played, did the competition, and I lost to this guy who really wasn't playing much, but he had nice style and he was hopping around like Chuck Berry. I remember I was just like, okay, at this time I wasn't on my entertainment kick like Prince.
Yeah.
I hadn't downloaded all of that information properly. So the judge came up to me and was just like, hey man, you ought to try something else. Like you should stop doing music. Like I don't think guitar is for you. I said, what? He said, yeah, man, like you cool, but you should probably just consider doing something else. I was like, what? Wow. And then he said, what's your name again? And he looked at the card and he said, Justin Lyons. And he was like, oh man, wait a minute. Your brother is Danny Lyons? Man, you should have told me that, man. I would have made sure you got through and you won. I didn't know that, man. What's up? And I was like, nah, you can't shake my hand, dude. Like, I was so pissed that Guitar Center allowed somebody like that to judge other players. It wasn't even about it being me. It was like, yo, you got this MF judging players. Like, if I was a weak person, that would have killed my dream.
Yeah, yeah.
That would have killed my dream if I was a weak person. And he told me that, man, you should do something else. And I would have been like, dang, you right. Let me hang it up. After he told me that, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna prove to your ass. I'm gonna show you, and I cannot wait to be at such this big level of musicianship, producership, everything to talk about it and change that kind of system of thinking or to change the wrong people being in the right positions, man. So that guy, that moment, that day is what's ignited my dream chasing.
Okay, yeah,
That
that's cool.
moment.
So that moment was
Yeah, man.
the section that
Yep,
that
that was the
fueled that
spark.
fire.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's cool,
Whoo,
man. That's
boy, you
cool.
got me heat. You got me heated now talking about it.
What would you say to him, or
But yeah, that was
what? Would you say anything to him nowadays if he could see you? Like, I mean, what you sold out Cleveland, like the Cleveland Stadium, right? And some other big
Yeah, we
venues out
sold out
here,
the
like,
Cleveland Stadium for sure.
and that's just with Machine Gun, right?
Madison Square Garden, yeah. That's
You've
just yeah.
you've
That's
done
just with
K-pop as
Machine
well,
Gun
right?
Kelly.
Have
Yeah,
you
I've done
done?
K-pop, man. Done K-pop.
Was
Sold
it
out domes, man.
Blackpink, I believe?
Blackpink, yes, man. Blackpink, Big Bang, Psy, all of those guys, man. Y'all know the song "Open Gangnam Style." You know the
Yeah,
little crazy
yeah,
horse dance. Yeah, I was playing for that guy. Dude. We was selling out like 80,000, 80,000 seat domes. You know what I'm saying? At a time, man. Over in Japan and Korea, it was just unreal to just see that many people in one place, man. If I saw him again, man, I will remind him to say, man, I was the kid that you told that I should stop doing music. And like, and I will also tell him that how you did that was just incorrect. It was just incorrect. It was better ways to coach or nurture
absolutely.
a newbie that's on the system, man. Because it's like if that would have been anybody else, I feel bad. If I even overheard that, I would have felt bad, and I
Yeah.
probably would have called him out on it then. But yeah, man, I would let him know that how he did that it was not the correct way to do it and go about it. And then I say, look at me now, God bless me, and out of there.
And then you can give him a free ticket to Madison Square Gardens while it's sold out.
There you go, free ticket
Make
to
sure it's at the
Madison
very
Square
back
Garden.
so we can see the entire crowd.
Sit your ass in the back. You right.
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah,
So
man, it's all love now. Yeah.
no, that's cool, man. That's really cool. That's it's nice to hear, you know. I think it does only take one comment to knock someone's confidence or like, you know, most people aren't gonna believe they can achieve it anyway. So all it takes is that one
Right.
that one stone in your shoe, for example, to wear you down. Um, so just off the back of that, how did you transition? Obviously, you mentioned about doing the Guitar Center battle to now where you are, and obviously performing with all those like guys in K-pop and being a huge sensation with them. How did you get from like either doing those little venues to K-pop to Machine Gun? So how did you like create? Was
Mm.
that from networking or like, you know, did you have just friends in common? Was it due to social media, the Guitar Slayer, you know, the brand of
Right.
Guitar Slayer was that?
Well, the Guitar Slayer name was already kind of surfacing. I had my own band, like 2007, 2008 ish. We were called Connect Four, me and like three of my close friends at the time. And around the city of Dallas, I was already like considered like the go-to guy. Like that's the guy you should call to play the bass. That's the guy you should call to play guitar. So I already had like a reputation around here. But two things. I say one, two things. The first thing is it was timing. And the second thing is three things: timing, preparation, like already being prepared. And then what's the third one that I was gonna say? Timing, preparation. Hold on. Like just let me slow my
Yeah, yeah,
brain down
absolutely.
just slightly.
Absolutely.
Timing, preparation, man, and social media. There it is. It was social media. Because you asked, was it
Yeah,
a
yeah.
social media thing? So I wanted to bring out that it was like from the connection of like Twitter. So when I say timing, and preparation is because in 2012, like January of 2012, I'll never forget. I got a call from Gil Smith. He's a good friend of mine now, but he's the music director for Lil Wayne. He's been the music director for Lil Wayne for quite some time. And just 2 weeks prior to this event, watch this. 2 weeks prior to this moment, me and my roommate was just sitting in our apartment and we was just watching Lil Wayne Unplugged on MTV. So it was just like, yo, look at them. They up there killing. I didn't know any of the musicians up there. I was just like, yo, they up there killing. I never had the energy of like man, I'm better than them. I should be up there. I see people my age or anything doing something. I'm like, man, that's dope. They killing. One day I get there. I don't know how, but one day I get there. So
Yeah,
crazy. 2 weeks later, um, me and my homie was getting ready to move out of our apartments because just being a musician and trying to at the time doing like club hits and smaller events, it can be hard on you trying to fund your living, you know. So we was getting ready to move out and go our separate ways. I was gonna move back home with my mom for a few months. He was gonna move back home, and we just kind of hit the drawing board again. And he hit me up and said, "Yo, check your Twitter." I was like, "Man, I don't even like Twitter, man." Ah, all right, let me check it out. I didn't understand Twitter at the time. So I go to Twitter and it said, I'm looking for an African American musician for an overseas opportunity. Hit me up. And it was the music director that we just saw on TV 2 weeks prior. I was like, oh, this is dope. I bet. All right. Let me just hit him up. Said, do do do. I have my passport in my pocket right now. I'll go to the airport right now. That was my response. And he was like, really? Do you have any videos, footage? This goes into preparation. I've always had a love for photography. That's why I admire your work so much. I've always had a love for photography and videography that I would just set up cameras in my apartment and just practice photography or practice photos or practice lighting, practice all of these little things. And I just always had stuff in my phone. So I just started shooting him stuff. He was like, yo, this guy's quick. Preparation. So from those things, he started asking me just life questions about my character, what it would be like, what did I think about certain things in terms of like my perspective. And man, after that, dude, he called me the next day and said, let's have a Skype. I met him on Skype. He said, I went and I reviewed your stuff. Mind you, it's the next day. Prior to that day, we was getting ready to move out because
yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So it was just like a 3 day thing of
yeah.
like what I call my Cinderella story. And we had a Skype man, and he checked me out. We talked, blah 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 blah, and he said, "Well, you got the job." And I was like, "Word for real?" He said, "Yeah." So I'm gonna get you to fly to LA. We're gonna practice for like 3 weeks. I was like, "Yo, I ain't never been to LA. I just watched MTV Unplugged and said, yo, one day I'm gonna get there." And I spoke it, man. So it's so crazy. But after that, man, they flew me to LA. I met the guys, I met the band, had never seen these guys or heard these guys. Those guys had already been playing for like Austin Brown. They was already playing for Mariah Carey. They was already playing for Aaliyah, Genuine, Timbaland, like big dogs. So I was green at the time. So after that moment, man, we went to Korea. My first time going out of that wasn't my first time going out of the country, but for touring, a touring purpose, man, it was unbelievable. And that sparked everything else in my career.
So just on you obviously went from Dallas to Los Angeles. So is there any times where, or do you still get it now, where you kind of get not necessarily like a stage fright, but that nervous feeling of being in a room full of musicians, or like in practice, or even stood on stage in front of thousands, where you're like, oh God, I've got to go out and do my solo, or like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I'm not nervous or anxious at this point in my career. Um, because I do prepare. Like we
Okay.
have to go back out with Kales in like another week and a half or so. So I'm gonna practice in my studio by myself for a full week just to make sure I'm good, comfortable, muscle memory, mental memory, finger memory, et cetera, et cetera. So when I get with the guys, I don't got to worry about that part. It's whatever else we got to learn, or if he want to do some different moves because I did the preparation, you know. But as far as being nervous or anxious or anything, nah. If anything, it's just like I want to make sure that I'm delivering correctly in a way that it should do, so the picture can come across, you know.
Yeah. So how did just on that on the connection between obviously how did you end up in Machine Gun Kelly? Is there a backstory to that? Was
Man,
that because obviously I know Sophie ended up because of social media. I believe it was Rook's dad or Rook presented her to Machine Gun and
yep,
said we, and that because they was already on the
yep,
search for a female guitarist, I believe. So how did you end up in that
yep.
position? How did you get invited into the band? And
Man, I got invited in from the world-renowned Travis Barker. Travis Barker, I met Travis Barker when I was playing for Lil Wayne in 2019. And me and
okay,
him just had a liking for each other. And then he asked me to come out and play with Blink 182. So I would go out and play with Blink 182. That stuff was so fun. Like I used to listen to these guys in high school, you know? But being able to play for them years later and then after COVID and stuff, we know everything was pretty much shut down. But they were working on a project together. And I think it was a conversation that kind of happened between those two. And it was just like, man, I need a guitarist, man. I need somebody that got some dope style, some dope this, blah, 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 blah. And Travis was like, yo, I know just the guy. And Travis hit me up and said, hey, what are you doing? I said, I'm actually in a studio session. What's up? He said, are you touring with anybody? I said, nah, not currently. He said, you wanna do this hit? I was like, all right, cool, will. He said, Machine Gun Kelly. I was like, word. I said, are you doing it? He was like, I'm gonna do a few shows. I might pop in here and there, but we working on the project together, blah, 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 blah. I was like, bet. All right, cool, I'll do it. Let me know what I need to do. And so then he connected me with Slim and Bass. And Slim and Bass, like they play such a big part in Machine Gun Kelly's life and stage and everything, music.
yeah, yeah,
So they checked me out, we talked, did some FaceTiming and everything, and then from there, man, the rest was history.
yeah. That's cool, man. That's cool. So on that, you've obviously mentioned so far about like a lot of achievements you've had in your career, but is there one moment where it's been like either your proudest moment or a moment where you've gone like, pinch me, is this even real? Am I dreaming? Do you know what I mean? So whether that is selling out Madison Square Gardens or buying your dream guitar, one of those moments where you've gone like, I can't believe this is like actually happening.
Mm. Man, it's probably one of those every day, actually. But a real moment that was kind of like surreal, I would say, selling out Madison Square Garden with Machine Gun Kelly. Like that was a really big moment, man. Selling out Cleveland Stadium. That was a big moment, man. Creating my own guitar, like me and my homie just starting from an idea and birthing the guitar, the orange one that you would see on tour.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, that's a pinch me moment. Like, you know what, man? My entire career right now and how it's going is a pinch me moment. You know, and I think one of my most proudest moments is yet to come, but it's this new record that just finished shooting a music video for called Changes. I know I'm super proud of it, you know?
yeah, yeah. Cool. That's cool,
Yeah.
man. That's cool. And then last question, to be honest with you, is if well, two more questions. Just there's one real quick one, which is there ever a song or yeah, a song that you've gone, oh, like shit, I wish I wrote that, or I wish I could have produced that, or do you know what I mean? Is there any song out there or anything like that where you've gone, oh, why didn't I think of that?
Oh, not off the top of my head. It's not why. You know what? It's a lot of moments that I'm like, why didn't I think of that? Only because I can create any genre of music and I produce every genre of music.
Yeah,
So often I hear a record and I'm like, but I think sometimes like the artist her, I talk about her a lot because she's just dope, but it's a lot of the musicality and moments of her that I hear and I'm like, oh, I could have made that. Oh, I should have made that. Oh man, we got to get in the studio together. It's just like I know it's gonna happen sooner or later, man. But she's one of those people that I feel like musically, like we would like marry beautifully. If we just sat down, played together, and wrote together, man.
Just
So
that
yeah,
chemistry.
it's a lot. Yeah, it's
Okay,
just a
cool.
synergy, man, that I just know would be special, you know?
Yeah, that's cool, man. And then lastly, just if there was anybody who wanted to kind of follow in your footsteps, what advice would you give them or help them to prepare or guide them into kind of leading that way? So not necessarily being in a band, but just being able to um,
Mm.
sell out those stadiums and stuff like that, or just any advice to help anybody grow in that sense.
The advice that I can give now that I wish I knew earlier on is uh know your why. Like have a purpose, have a reason to why you want to do something. And I think it will help you shape how you're gonna do it and who you're gonna say it to instead of wasting a lot of time. And there's nothing wrong with figuring it out, but I feel like there is a science to getting there quicker. So I would say know your why as an artist. Like, why do you want to do it? Like some producers, they come to the studio with me like, man, let's make a song. I'm like, okay, what do you want to say? And they're like, I don't know, man. I just want to jam. And I'm like, well, no, you're not making a song because I don't want to just create something that meaningless, not with my time. And all we
Yeah,
have is our precious time. You know what I'm saying? So we really have to utilize it in a very productive way, man. But I would say just, man, just know your why and have fun and be brave. Like be so brave and don't don't get down about a no, man. If somebody tells you no, everything is for purpose, everything is for reason. If somebody gives you a no, just keep going. You'll understand why that no was in place. You'll understand why you didn't need to work with them. You'll understand why that situation wasn't for you. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, man.
So don't be afraid. Be very brave and know your why. That's those are my three.
Perfect, man. That pretty much wraps this up. So thank you for joining me. I appreciate your time. It was a great
Man, thank you for
conversation,
having me.
and I hope anybody listening will reach out to you if you want to just give your channels a shout out so people know where to find you, and then hopefully we can
Sure.
catch up soon.
For sure. Catch me, guitarslayer.com. You can buy some merch from my site. Everything is at Guitar Slayer 24 on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Justin Lyons, that's Lyons. Shout out to Nate for making like my new Justin Lyons print that I'm gonna be rocking with for a minute. Shout out to you, baby. And thank you to this podcast. It was a great conversation and great experience, man. I wish you all the best and many blessings.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of It Was All a Dream. We appreciate your time and support. We hope that you enjoyed the episode and you feel inspired to achieve your dreams. Be sure to give us a follow on social media. We're on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter, where you can contact us and stay connected with us if you have any feedback on the episodes or guest recommendations. Be sure to stick around after this to see what's upcoming in the next episode. Thank you.
What is up, everybody? My name is Darcy Oak, and I am an illusionist.